Shalom Yasharala, this your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Rakah Kodash. Double honor to the apostle of great millstone that taught us this truth and every will. And salutation and much love for you. I can push this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump into this here article real fast. It says Putin issues a warning to irresponsible Western politicians. All right. So give me a second. But nevertheless, hey, as we're hearing about a lot of these U.S. politicians and things like that, saber rattling or what they call nuclear saber rattling. All right, there was an article about, maybe that they should, nuclearly arm Ukraine and things like that. Most people, when they look at this whole conflict, as things are heating up more and more, the more and more people actually are starting to look into these things now. The regular everyday Americans, what is the narrative that they're being fed? And what is the narrative that they're, as they're, like I said, looking into these things now? What narrative are they picking up? Russia's the boogeyman. Russia's the problem here and there. But that's not, according to what the scriptures say. All right. And we're going off of what prophecy says. All right. And as you can see, it's clearly playing out that way. All right. But, and the prophecy say that, to give you an example, we'll read it, but, to give you a quick example, basically America would be going to go push up against the hornet's nest. All right. Then the hornets come out and sting you. You can't go home running to your mom saying, oh, the hornets just came out and stung me. No, you was messing with the hornet's nest. They came out and defended themselves. And this is what you got. Now you got, all these hornet stings on you. All right. So, basically America's the one that's poking at the bear, but it's going to bring its own demise. All right. So as you see these things going on, when you go back to the beginning of the Ukraine scenario, all right, what happened with that? They had they had a so-called breakaway zone. All right. And they wanted to, you had the Donetsk region who pretty much wanted to be, not a part of, basically America went and hijacked Ukraine. All right. But you had a portion of Ukraine that still wanted to be basically autonomous or under the Russian rule. All right. And they had made agreements and things like that for that to take place, but it was never really implemented. All right. And then basically, the Western-backed Ukraine started waging war against the other half of, basically the Donetsk region. All right. The other side of Russia or the other side of Ukraine. And Russia pretty much came to their aid. All right. And, to stop this here situation. Well, behind the whole scenes of everything, like I said, the Western-backed Ukraine, America was on that side, waging war against, Ukrainians. Now, at the same time, Ukraine or America had been sending troops over there, sending weapons over there, which they continue to do to this day. All right. Now, Russia pretty much made a red line that says, look, we don't want Ukraine to join NATO because Ukraine is up on NATO's Ukraine is up on Russia's border. And if you have NATO on Russia's border like that, it would trigger what NATO calls Article 5. All right. Just based off of them, being on borders, if one part of NATO is one country in NATO is attacked, all of NATO would defend every inch of NATO. So basically all somebody would have to do is sneeze or let a can, blow over the wind blow a can over the border. And that would trigger basically a World War III. All right. And so NATO or not NATO, Russia is not stupid at that, man. All right. They're not going to sit there and allow NATO to get up on their borders like that and surround them and then just, preemptively strike them in World War III, because that's the American doctrine when their strategy when it comes to war, a preemptive strike. All right. Meaning they're going to always strike first. They're not going to wait for you to get into position and do all these different things. They're going to hit you when you least expect it. All right. They're going to strike first. All right. And also, Russia also stated, not only that Ukraine cannot join NATO, but also that, basically NATO and America don't station, their weapons on their borders. All right. But they didn't, they didn't concede to these requests from Russia. All right. And they kept going on and arming them and sending more and more troops. So Russia started to defend themselves. All right. So now you have the same thing going on where they're talking about putting, a nuclear arsenal into Ukraine. Well, what do you think Russia's going to do? All right. So it says Russia is not threatening anyone with nuclear arms, but the president told the West to remember what Moscow is capable of. So at the end all be all, when these things come to pass, I just broke it down to you, the whole situation, how we got to where we at now. It's all because of the American aggression. It's all because America decided to go and start messing with the hornet's nest or the wasp nest that's in the corner. We all know about wasp nests that might be in the corner of the roof somewhere inside your house. That ain't really bothering you. They just over there. Now all of a sudden you didn't realize that they was over there. Now you drawn to go over there and start messing with it. Now you want to take the broomstick and start swatting at it or whatever. Now they all stirred up and they coming out. Now they stinging you. They wasn't stinging you before. They was right there. Yeah, they're capable of doing damage onto you, but they're not really on the defense, or they're not really on the offense. You started messing with them, they came back to retaliate on the defense. The same scenario you have going on with Russia. So it says Russia is not threatening anyone with nuclear arms, but the president told the West to remember what Moscow is capable of. Russia is not threatening anyone with nuclear weapons, but everyone should know what it has and what it can use if the need arose. Russian President Vladimir Putin said during the preliminary session of the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum on Friday. Putin said that he was aware of some irresponsible Western politicians, despite their seniority, have been ranting about Russia allegedly upping the nuclear ante. All right, and again, this is what you would call like basically projecting. All right, they're saying these things. Oh, we need to go ahead and use this because Russia is talking about using nukes. Well, Russia ain't talking about all that. They're like, you think about it from a geological perspective. Why would Russia nuke the Ukraine? That's on their border. That would affect them more than it would affect the West. That would, this is like saying, all of a sudden, America's gonna sit there and nuke Mexico or some shit like that. Like, well, why would America nuke Mexico when that's on the American border, and then the blowback would just be on America? That would just be stupid. But hey, nevertheless, this is the propaganda. Like I said, this is gonna bring America. Their own council is bringing them to their own demise. Or you're pushing Russia into a corner, man. And they're gonna strike. So like the hornet's nest or the wasp's nest. Example that I gave, like, bro, they not messing with you, but you're going to go over there, start, swatting at them and everything else like that. Don't be mad when the whole nest comes swarming out at your ass, man. You asked for this, all right? It says, what are we supposed to do? We respond accordingly. As soon as we answer, they cling to us and say, here is Russia threatening. We do not threaten anything, but everyone should know what we have and what we will use if necessary to protect our sovereignty, the Russian leader said. And so again, like I gave the example of the wasp nest, man. All right, the wasp ain't coming out stinging you and this and that. Like, I give that analogy because we've all been around wasp nests, seen them maybe at your front door and things like that. And a lot of times you see them, they didn't grown so big. They didn't just get there overnight. They've been there for a while. You just now all of a sudden realizing that they're there. But when you go to try to knock them down and knock them up out of their position and everything else like that, sometimes there's a struggle. Sometimes they get out of hand and then sometimes you get stung. All right. But this is what you have going on right now. 2 weeks ago, former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev said that nobody should forget about the circumstances that could force Russia to use nuclear weapons, but also stressed that no one wants nuclear war. And again, don't forget how we got here, man. We didn't get here because Russia decided to just roll up into Ukraine and start taking Ukraine and start bombing them and everything. No, the wasp didn't just come rolling out and start stinging you while you was at your picnic table and everything else like that. You rolled up on the wasp. And this is what you have going on, all right? In an interview with Altair Medvedev, who currently serves as deputy chair of the Russian Security Council, said that while he doesn't want to scare anyone, when people say that something is impossible because it is never possible, they're always wrong. Prior to Medvedev, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that the risk of atomic war was serious, real, and we must not underestimate it. His remarks were widely criticized in the West by both U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and Joint Chiefs of Staff General Mark Milley, accusing Russia of nuclear saber rattling. And again, it's just like, look, the wasp didn't come out and just start threatening you. Hey, we're going to sting y'all if y'all don't give us the whole house. They just want their little corner over there. They don't want to be bothered with. But if you're going to come over there, like, don't forget, we can sting your ass, and that sting is going to hurt. You know what I'm saying? So Russia's saying the same thing. Hey, man, we're not over here. We're not over here saying that we're going to nuke y'all and this and that. But, hey, we see what y'all doing. We asked NATO not to keep spreading closer and closer to our doorstep. Y'all have us surrounded. You're putting nuclear arms on all the borders around us and everything else like that. You're putting up all these soldiers around us and everything else like that. What do you think we're going to do to defend ourselves, man? Because if we allow y'all to completely surround us, especially with nuclear weapons, the only thing left to do is like what y'all going to say, all right, look, this is a stick up. Don't anybody move. We taking everything. And if you do move, we got nukes surrounding you already. So it's a lose-lose for you anyway. So before we get to that point, Russia's just going to say, all right, well, fuck it then. If that's what y'all, the next step is that anyway. We got to go all out, guns blazing. We're not going to just sit here and capitulate like that. We're going to go out, and with a bang. Putin himself faced similar allegations from the West after escalating the alert status of Moscow's nuclear force soon after launching a military offensive in Ukraine in late February. Moscow has consistently denied accusations of playing the nuclear card, saying that such claims are part of an anti-Russia propaganda campaign launched by the West. And again, this is, them, how do you say, projecting, all right? So let's jump over here real quick in Job 18. It says, the steps of his strength shall be straightened, his own counsel shall cast him down, all right? And part of Salat, and part of his own counsel is what? Let us go over here. Let me grab this real quick. Habakkuk 2:5 says, yea, also because he transgresses by wine, he is a proud man, and neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And in these latter times, what have you been seeing? We'll call it just NATO. All right. Well, America, which is the horde is riding upon the beast. What have you been seeing NATO been doing over the last couple of years, especially in the last few years? All right. Rapidly expanding. All right. You seeing them trying to gather up more and more and more nations up under them. And of course, like I said, America is the horde that rideth upon the beast. So, America's the one that's leading this whole charge, man. They're the main ones that benefit anyway. The only ones that benefit anyway. All right. Whereas look at all the other NATO nations. Look at the EU and all of them. They all suffering right now from America trying to expand over with Ukraine. All right. But nevertheless, hey, they never keep it at home. They're a proud man. All right. Verse 6 says, shall not all these take up a parable against him, a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long to him that ladeth itself with thick clay? All right. And that's what you see Russia doing right now. They're standing up for themselves. All right. They're saying, it says, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, So how long are you going to keep going on into all these countries and taking up all these countries that's not yours? Now, you see them actively in multiple stages of war right now, in Ukraine, still in that area, trying to steal Taiwan off from Russia. All right. And they're already over in South Korea when it comes to North Korea. But see, they're actively stirring up all these regions right now at the same time. But what are these nations starting to do? Verse 7, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booty unto them? All right. And as you see these nations, like the scriptures say, let the weak say I am strong, prepare all the mighty men for war. You're seeing all these things happening right now. You're seeing all these different nations getting, preparing themselves for the battle right about now. They're all preparing themselves militarily, preparing themselves when it comes to these missiles and things like that, because they're all about to strike at America. Verse 8, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood and for the violence of the land and of the city and all that dwell therein. So, hey, all these nations are rearing up and about to strike out at America for their wickedness and their doing, man. Invading, not necessarily, nowadays they're not even just invading the countries, like just rolling up over there. They're using their forked tongue, transgressing by that wand, their doctrines and things like that. They're not just bogarting these nations no more. Like America didn't just bogart Ukraine, roll up in there with tanks and everything. No, they went over there with a coup, overthrew the country, set up their own puppet, and now they're just inching their little ways into the these nations' back doors and everything else like that. Then lo and behold, they set up their new agendas and their propaganda. Oh, now we're joining NATO. Oh, we're gonna start bringing in military troops. We're gonna start doing all these different things. But these nations are starting to see what's going on, man. All right. This is Job 18 and 7. The steps of his strength shall be straightened. His own counsel shall cast him down. All right. So, hey, him rolling up into these nations like that, man. All right, because again, like I said, his plans was, overthrowing these nations and setting up shop into these different nations. And again, not by bogarting them, but by his transgressing by wand, his philosophies, his doctrines, his treaties that he signed with these nations. For he is cast into a net by his own feet, and he walketh upon a snare. The gin shall take him by the heel, and the robber shall prevail against him. The snare is laid for him in the ground, and the trap for him in the way. Terror shall make him afraid on every side, and shall drive him to his feet. His strength shall be hunger bitten, and destruction shall be ready at his side. It shall devour the strength of his skin. Even the firstborn of death shall devour his strength. His confidence shall be rooted out of his tabernacle, and it shall bring him to the king of terrors. All right, let me keep reading. Verse 15, it shall dwell in his tabernacle, because it is none of his. Brimstone shall be scattered upon his habitation. His root shall be dried up beneath, and above shall his branch be cut off. All right, and it says his remembrance shall perish from the earth, and shall have no name in the streets. So, hey, going into this, the brimstone shall be scattered upon his habitation, and he shall be be brought to the king of terrors. All right, that's going to ultimately be when the Most High rain those nuclear missiles down upon him. And again, as you can see in this here article, Russia's saying, look, don't forget what we got over here. We got the great equalizer, man. Not really the great equalizer, the great how you say, the great levelizer, man. Level the playing field, man. All right, because hey, everything is going to go up into a how they say, the lake of fire, man. When Russia starts shooting these missiles over here in America, and all these other nations are going to do the same as well too, man. This is how America comes to an end. But it's just like somebody who is somewhat trying to let's say they're trying to take something. Let's say hypothetically, they're trying to steal something, and they go in inch by inch, taking a little by little by little by little, and they see that they're almost done taking this pot that they got to get. Now they're getting sloppy. They're just going in and grabbing up as much as they can. But guess what? At the end all be all, as they going in and making those last couple trips, they starting to drop a couple pieces here and there, leading the trail back to where they're getting sloppy with the job. So yeah, you didn't got all this, but now because you going at a faster rate and everything else like that, guess what? You didn't left the trail right back to where to find you at, man. So yeah, you didn't stole everything that was in the vault, but guess what? You left the trail. So when they come to find you, now you didn't got caught, man. When at first you was doing it at such a slight level that you was able to get away with it, but now you're moving so fast and so how they say you're moving. When you're moving I can't even think of the word right now, the term, but when you're moving all fast and indiscretionally, things start to happen and things like that. You're getting sloppy with your work, more or less to say. All right, now you're getting caught. All right, so now the nations are waking up saying, "Hey, is this the man that made the earth to tremble?" All right, so they're pointing you out. Now they're about to start spoiling you because you spoil many. All right, let me grab Jeremiah 50:3. It says or let me go to 2. It says declare ye among the nations and publish, set up a standard, publish and conceal not. All right, that's what we've been doing. We've been out here on the Hobbits and the Bibles and these video epistles letting you know that what and say Babylon is taken, Bel is confounded, Merodach is broken in pieces, her idols are confounded, her images are broken. For out of the north there cometh up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast. All right, and that's what you have going on right now, man. That's what we've been prophesying, in these latter days. Hey, Russia is rearing up and posturing for that how they say that finishing move, finish him. Hey, all right, they getting preparing themselves, and these other nations with these nuclear missiles. Let me find that verse. Verse 9. For lo, I will raise the cause to come up against Babylon, an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrow shall be as a mighty expert man, and none shall return in vain. So, hey, ultimately going into this, when Russia and these other nations start aiming their missiles at America, man, that's going to be the end all be all for them. All right, Jeremiah 51:11, I think it is. Yep. It says, make bright the arrows, gather the shields. Yahweh hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, for his device is against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord's temple. Because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple. So, hey, going into this here scenario, this says, make bright the arrows, all right, and gather the shields. And what have they been doing? They've been advancing themselves in, their missiles, their nuclear missiles, their nuclear arsenal. You got the Satan 1, the Satan 2 missiles, all right, that's being put in, not production, but into service, all right, where they're actually out there on the battlefields now. All right, this is gather the shields. All right, they got the S-300, S-400, S-500. All right, out there in the battlefields. All right, so what? Russia has been, how do I say? And their newest fighter jet, they put that out in the field, a Su-57. All right, not Su-57. I think it's a Su-75, I believe it is. But nevertheless, hey, they got their the newest of all their technology out on the battlefield right now, ready to go. All right, hypersonic missiles ready to go. Whereas America is just now finally getting their first successful test, I believe it is. All right, but hey, Russia's already been prepared, because wow, the Lord has prepared this. Let me read it again. It says, make bright the arrows, gather the shields. Yahweh have raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes. All right, so hey, the Lord has raised up their spirits for his device. All right, those nuclear missiles is against Babylon. All right, America, to destroy it. All right, and that's what that's what they call weapons of mass destruction. All right, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple. All right, let me jump down to verse. Jeremiah 51:28, it says, prepare against her the nations with the king of the Medes, the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. The land shall tremble and sorrow, for every purpose of the Lord shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon a desolation without inhabitants. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight; they have remained in their holds. Their might have failed and they've become as women, and they have burned her dwelling places, and her bars are broken. And one shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another, and to show the king of Babylon that his city is taking a one in. All right, and that the passages are stopped, and the reeds they have burned with fire, and the men were frightened. So again, reiterating that the device from the Medes or the Russians, all right, is going to be aimed against Babylon or America, all right, to wipe her off the face of the earth, which are those nuclear weapons. And this is the time where you're seeing this all being brought together, man. All right, what you know of is going to culminate in what they call World War III. All right, so I'm gonna just go ahead and close out with that. Just wanted to bring this here out as we're measuring the times diligently and seeing how much more closer we are to the end. All right, so with that, I want to say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rakak Kodash, double honor to the apostles and elders, a great millstone that taught us this truth and our will. And citation, much love for you, I can pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong, shalom.